The landing of Vasco da Gama near Kozhikode in 1498 heralded the European colonization in India. Although they first landed on the west coast of India, they flourished in the riverine Gangetic plains of Bengal in the east, more specifically from Kolkata to Tribeni. It is a 60-kilometer stretch on the west bank of the Hooghly River. Portuguese traders selected Satgaon for their trading activity. Subsequently, they had opted for Hooghly, a prominent Mughal outpost. Hooghly Imambara, although built at a later date, reminds us of its glorious past, complete with rose garden, Turkish bath, sundial, etc. Portuguese Hooghly is the first European settlement established around 1537. The Hooghly River, as it is said, derived its name from the port Hooghly. Basilica at Bandel is the oldest church in Bengal. It is said that this church was once the place of worship for the ship navigators before leaving for the long hazardous journey. Dutch traders followed the Portuguese to Bengal and started their trading activity from Hooghly. They made their first factory at Golghat, but soon settled for a higher land at Chinsurah. On 20th March, by virtue of a charter from the Dutch State General, United East India Company of Netherlands was empowered treaties, war, and acquire properties for promoting their trade interest and built Fort Gustavus. However, in 1757, the British conquered Chinsurah and the Fort Gustavus was destroyed, and Chinsurah was handed over to the British on the 7th of May, 1825. They have constructed a large barrack along the esplanade, which is the main architectural feature of Chinsurah today. Chinsurah then became a fashionable suburb of Calcutta, where wealthy people spent their weekends and where European children were educated. The main building of present Hooghly Mahasin College was constructed in 1808. Although Chinsurah was predominantly a Dutch settlement, other non-Indian settlements also flourished here. The Armenian church in Mogultuli, built in 1695 by Khoja Yunus Margo, is the second oldest church in Bengal. There are graves of descendants of the Armenian monarchy inside the compound of this church. Dutch governors were known for their parties and extravagant lifestyles. Local merchants acted as the suppliers of local goods to the Dutch, and also the distributors of the Dutch goods in Bengal. This arrangement had resulted in growth of Bengali merchant communities like the Dattas, Lahas, and Maliks. The mausoleum of Susanna Anna Maria is probably the most beautiful example of the European architecture in Chinsurah. The French secured permission from Shaista Khan, then the governor of Bengal, in 1690-91 and settled in Chandannagar. Having derived its name from the crescent shape of the shoreline, Chandannagar is a very strategic location on the river Hooghly. Although the French were late starters, they maintained a very long presence in Bengal. Their identity is being reflected in the layout and architecture of Chandannagar. The Strand or Quay Duplex is an excellent promenade along the riverbank, and it is the focus of the French settlement, on which stands the beautiful buildings like the posh Thistle Hotel, the Clock Tower, the Governor's House, the convent. French Chandannagar had seen its golden period during the French governor François Dupleix. He transformed Chandannagar into the most beautiful city on the west bank of the Hooghly. One can still see its glimpses in the authentic architectural representation. The popular French icon of Joan of Arc still forms an important artifact in the town. The city life of Chandannagar reverberates with French culture. It celebrates Bastille Day by erecting an ornamental gateway at the entrance of the town on GT Road. The town was maintained by a council and enjoyed proper municipal services. The Sacred Heart Cemetery on the west side of Lal Dighi still shares French past in the graves and mausoleums. On the east of Lal Dighi stood the Fort d'Orleans, built by the French in 1697 to protect and strengthen their trade interest. After the Peace of Paris in 1763, Chandannagar was restored to the French and remained with them till 1950. The bakery, the bandstand, the convent, the layout of the streets of Chandannagar still reminds us of its French past. The Danes arrived in Bengal with Farman from Ali Bardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal. They settled in Serampore. The history of this town has been painted on the walls of the governor's house to commemorate its 150 years. Although it is popularly known as Serampore, the Danes identified it as Frederiksnagar. Initially, this was a very low-profile town, but transformed into a prominent European settlement. Nishan Ghat, with its cannons, promenade along the river bank, made an impressive facade of the town. The most important feature of this town is the St. Olaf Church, constructed at the anchor point of the vista. The settlement was controlled from the governor's house, situated on the strand near Nishan Ghat. What made the Danes special is not their quality of trade or their political might, but their socio-cultural activities. They had a lasting impression on Bengal's cultural history. The establishment of the Baptist mission in 1860 was the trendsetter in this regard. The Serampore mission took the lead in setting up of educational institutions and printing press in the town. In 1816, they initiated a college to teach young people Eastern literature and European science. It got an official recognition through a charter from Frederick VI, and thus the first college in Asia was formed. An impressive building in pure European style symbolizes the historical achievement. Serampore Printing Press began to publish books both in English and vernacular languages. With the publication of the Bible in Bengali, Bengali literature entered into a new era. The newspaper Samachar Darpan was also initiated from this press. Carey House, Serampore Cemetery, Serampore College, Baptist Church are important edifices of Danish Serampore. Even the almost ruined Henry Martin Pagoda by the side of the river symbolizes the true linkage of European activities and a Bengali soul. Far away from Europe, a new culture was born out of these activities and interactions on the banks of the river Ganges.